Just kidding.
Welcome to Big Ideas, the podcast where three co-hosts rotate roles, explore real conversations, meaningful ideas, and the decisions that shape our lives. I'm Jessica Broadway, co-host here on the Big Ideas, and I am excited to get a chat going today about who we're becoming, and do we build ourselves or do we become ourselves? Like, what's the difference? Ooh, drop my phone.
Whoops.
Trying to beat you up.
Yeah, it's okay.
Got my notes here.
All right.
This is the difference between doing it on the couch, is that we aren't on our screens, so it's like you have to have another note screen.
Device?
Yeah. All right, so you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, gosh. Excitable. Oh, yeah. I'm Mark. I'm a partner and a mate and a father and a podcast host with these two knuckleheads. And do you mind being called knuckleheads? Probably not.
We'll talk about it after the
It's
podcast.
fine. It's fine.
It's all right. But yeah, I'm a founder and CEO and other things. But mostly, I'm just glad to be here. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad that you're here.
Thank you.
And I'm Justin Gabassi. I am I'm kind of tossing around whether I'm calling myself a life design coach or a human optimization coach. But
Ooh.
I optimize things, right? And so health and wellness and stuff. Also a touring musician. Luckily a podcast host also on Big Ideas. I'm a world traveler. I've been traveling for 8 months until recently here. I'm back on U.S. soil for a minute, but studying human connection, learning about different ways that people connect through culture, music, wellness practices, and happy to be here, dig into this cool subject today because I think it's going to touch on a lot of things.
Yeah, it's a topic that I find to be very fascinating when studying self. And I've been coaching for 15 years, and throughout that, with different modalities that I've taught in different programs, different workshops, it always ends up coming back to, like, who are you? And what do you use? What information do you collect to give you a sense of purpose and who you are? And that, I feel like, is like a separate conversation, but we're really focused on culture in our society, and we've equated a lot of that building culture to what is on the wall and the roles and the values that the company holds or whatever. But I think that we each carry our own culture with us, and like the vibe that you give off maybe is the other way of saying that, right? And you build that over time, but it still comes down to a sense of identity and being rooted and grounded in who you are. And so the question is, I feel like there's a myth out there that of the myth of finding yourself, let's say. And particularly because you've gone on a eat, pray, love journey of finding yourself. So is that a myth? Do you find yourself? Is it something that you build, or is it something you discover through lived experiences, or is this like a mashup? What is that journey like? I just think that as we are on this podcast and we have this platform, and we are both we're all becoming and we're growing. So I think it's just it would be a great conversation to have from three different perspectives. So I thought I'd bring it to the table for a chat, or bring it to the couch.
Cool.
What are your initial thoughts?
I was listening really closely, and I initially think it's a mashup. But for me personally, I can get sort of the self-discovery can wane if I get into a comfort zone for a while. And so I'm kind of like in a rhythm, which is nice, right? But maybe I'm not pushing myself quite as much. And so it seems to be when I do scary things or when I take myself out of the comfort zone, then for me personally, that growth, that self-discovery seems to speed up. Because like before I left, I thought, oh yeah, I know who Justin Gabassi is. And again, we've mentioned this on the podcast, but I thought I'm going to go out and study about human connection and that kind of a thing. And I've mentioned this, but in other episodes, but like the connection I needed to discover the most was with myself. And so I was like in the ring with that a lot out there and learning and growing immensely. And then since I've been back, I'm like in the ring again. I thought, oh, I'm going to go home and things are going to be like chill and like whatever. Like I'll get back into a quick groove, and it's been a bit of a culture shock,
Reverse culture shock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. That whole process seems to take on a different meaning depending on if I'm sort of chilling out and business as usual, or if I'm pushing myself out of the comfort zone and doing scary stuff.
So I want to hear what you say, and then I want to circle back to what you just said.
Okay.
Wait, that's nice.
Yeah.
A little back and forth. That's good.
Hi, Mark.
Hi.
You know what I like about this couch is that you can see each other.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's important. Oh, so much to say. The old saying, wherever you go, there you are. And I'm finding that to be true. I mean, it's a fact. Wherever you go, there you are. You bring yourself. It's usually, if you find yourself that no matter where you are, there's drama. There's a sort of what's the common denominator?
You.
You. There you are. Is that something that you bring to the equation? If there's joy, there you are. But it doesn't matter, Justin, that you go across the world. It's still you. The same cat that was here is the same cat that's going to be there, at least when you get off the plane on that initial flight. Now, what's happened in the past 6 months? You've evolved. There's no doubt about it. You're a different person than you were 6 months ago, just as I am. And I didn't have to go I didn't have to go overseas to have that experience. I'm a different person than I was 10 years ago, 12 years ago. I read a book as I was approaching 50. I'm now 60, and it was Falling Upward. It was about first half of life, second half of life. And I thought, I read the book, and it validated what I thought I had already experienced, which was I've had my first half of life, and now I've had my second half of life. So not true. I feel like there's a part of me still feels like I'm in my first half of life. I'm still unpacking things that I've had a part of me for so long. So, this identity. What is my identity? I think it's wherever I'm at right here and now, and it's more complex than just being able to say, well, I'm a father. It's a part of my identity. I'm a son of God. That's the essence of who I am, and I could lead with that and just say, I think that I've found my most authentic self, so I feel like this is my identity as I know it today is as rich and real and honest as it's ever been. But in a week, in a month, and in 10 more years, who's that Mark Steiner going to be? And how different is my identity going to be then than it is today? I don't know. But I sure like throwing things out there for the audience to consider, because I'm confused. If I've confused you, I'm confused too.
So there are two pieces to this. Do you build yourself, or do you discover yourself? Is kind of the two-pronged approach to that conversation. And I would say that it is both. And I don't know if we're talking about identity here. It's a necessary part of the conversation. I happen to have a unique way of looking at how identity is formed. I think it is the intersection of who you are, the attributes that make you you, right? And whose you are, what are you rooted in that never changes and goes beyond the roles that you play in your life. Because as you said, you're a father, I'm a mother. I was talking to another mom about this the other day, and she was saying about, we were mutually agreeing and laughing about the versions of motherhood we've had to grow through and the different moms we've had to become. Because so my identity cannot be a mom because it is literally ever changing. So if my identity was being a mom, then I could feel a loss of identity every time I went into a new season, right? So it has to transcend those roles, because those are external outputs versus internal inputs, and so I have to have an identity that's rooted in things that don't ever change but grow with me, so I have stability as I ebb and flow through life, right? So I do think it is, I think you can build a false version of yourself that shatters.
I agree.
And then I think you can discover things about yourself that offer enlightenment.
I agree.
Right? And then I think you can also discover truths about yourself that were taken or subdued or muted because you built protection for yourself in life. And so the discovery and that sense of vulnerability and exploration does allow for enlightenment. So I think that you can do both, and those are a two-pronged approach to discovering or finding yourself, is both discovery and building. But there are a healthy and an unhealthy side to each.
Yep.
If that makes sense. So to what you are saying about finding yourself and exploring and journaling or journeying throughout different places, did you find that definition to apply? Did you find things that you had built that you needed to release to discover more about yourself then, or or what do you have to say about that, I guess?
Yeah, I'm glad you reminded us, or me, of the building versus discovering, because in a very linear way, something I kept thinking about along my travels was the way that I had physically built myself up allowed me a lot of agility and flexibility, literally as it relates to terrain and the way that I traveled and how I traveled. So there were certain things I could go and see and do from the building or of phase of myself, at least physiologically, and then maybe some mental grit that then allowed me to go do some interesting things and see some interesting places where I then had moments of self-discovery. So that sometimes they were one and the same, right? So like
Right.
hiking up to like certain lookouts in Thailand, and it was like scary at some points, and then like getting there and having an aha moment.
But in the sense that I maybe rephrase the questioning,
Okay.
was like, yes, I know we can build ourselves physically, but also we can build false versions of identity that protect us.
Oh yeah, okay.
And so did you have to discover yourself or grow? What did you discover in the growth? Did you discover anything that you had built that needed to be deconstructed in order to allow yourself to grow to a new level?
Oh man, Mark, you touched on this a while back, and I don't know what episode it was, and maybe it was, specifically as it relates to the identities, and we even talked about this, I think, on the labels, where even the way we intro, and you talked about at the beginning of this episode, certifications or awards or whatever on the wall, right? And so that's a great question, Jessica, because I carried with me all the labels: the drummer, the actor, the model, the human optimization coach. So it was a restructuring, like a breaking down, and it was kind of like painful and liberating, because when I'm in a place where no one knows me and I don't have those labels to lean into,
They
So
give you nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like a bit of a loss. I was like, well, who am I out here? Which again was painful and liberating because I was like, oh, I don't have to be anybody except who I am.
Which is?
And exactly. And who is that?
No, really. Which is, we want to know.
Yeah, right? No, I know. Well, I would love to tell you, but I'm still figuring it out.
Right? It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Once you start looking at it from that angle,
Yeah.
it's like, ew.
Yeah, and then now that I'm back, and I've ran into people and I have some shows already, and I find myself falling into those
Sure you
old
do.
labels. Hey man, when are you playing? Like, what's up? And whatever. And I'm like, and then I posture it right into, oh, this is my drummer hat. Let me put that one on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, do you have your friend has a question about human optimization? Oh, let me throw that hat on for a minute. And so, but then I get in the car and I'm like, wait a minute. Who was the dude that was just in Thailand on a beach? You know what I mean? Like around no labels, no identities. So I don't know. Is that answer? That was a wild thing, man.
So,
Yeah.
I'm like, who the heck? Okay. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, no. It was well answered because that is what I wanted to get down to and unpack is like this is what it is like to be on the human experience.
yeah. Well, whether the, and I can never remember macro, micro, but doesn't it come down to like right here, right now, what is your identity? Because you said you're a mother. Mm-hmm. I don't see any kids around here.
Exactly.
You're not mothering right now, besides probably in the back of your head, which will always be present, a little bit of worry,
Yes.
right?
Awareness,
And
yeah.
awareness, and are they having more cookies than they should be having right,
Right.
now? Are they running with scissors?
Yeah.
Right?
And do they have a knife out? Are they experimenting with
what
cutting?
are they doing?
Yeah.
But besides that, you're not actually mothering right now. So what part of you is a mother? You, mother, you're, musician, optimization coach. I mean, isn't it right now? Aren't we just
Humans.
humans? Aren't we just, and in this exact moment, three friends on a couch as podcast hosts?
Yeah.
It's a little existential, I realize, but and I think building as opposed to it was building
versus discovery.
discovery.
Mm-hmm.
The discoveries. Well, I think those. You're right. We're both those things all the time, constantly. We're building, and we're building our identity. We're discovering our identity, and we're existing within our identity. Whatever agreement we're making with ourselves and the universe and our creator in this moment. As an actor, you're not doing anything right now as an actor.
Right.
As far as I know, you're not in a class. You're not doing a script. You're not working on lines. You're not preparing for. So, is that and you and I talked about this too, about that. It was that idea of how do you present yourself and the importance of what you say about yourself in that in that elevator pitch, or sometimes in even less time. Like, what is the most interesting way that you can introduce yourself or describe what you do as a career, right? And I remember when that happened. Go ahead.
Mark makes people's dreams come true.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
Because that is my point about the motherhood thing. Maybe I glossed over it and assumed it landed, but I can't. Those are things that describe me as the roles in my life,
Right.
But they can't be who I am because they change so often, and I will constantly go through an identity crisis every time a child moves on or changes or evolves. I'm not saying that being the role of motherhood, I'm not saying that it isn't a consideration of who I am, but the attributes of who I am come out in my motherhood role.
Right.
Right? So the things that are intrinsically me, the fingerprints, are me.
That's it.
And this is how I am me is as a mother. This is how I am me as a friend. This is how I am me as a business owner. This is how I am me as a coach. Those are roles that I play.
Right.
Or I don't, you know what I mean?
No, I think they are. I think
That we do, and we have the different hats. It's when that replaces, they over-identify with those roles, that I think we start building protection around those. We start clamping down on those. We start saying, like, this is who I am. It's everything that I am. And you hear people say that a lot. I've said it. And we need to have something that pulls us along in life more than what we have built, right? And we
What
have
we
to
do.
what we do.
Yeah.
It is who
Careers
we
and-
are. And that conversation is a weird one, and it makes people uncomfortable, because if you walked around saying, I make dreams come true, and I was like, I'm a creator of joy and happiness, people would be like, and you're weird,
But I'll take it.
Right,
I'll
but
take you.
it is like no one does that kind of stuff, and I love working with people on who are you, and you and I've had that discussion. You and I've had this discussion when I go through the grief workshops, and I do those workshops of removing the losses and processing those, and we take away the things that you identify yourself as what you have overcome.
Mm-hmm.
There is the existential question that if I cannot identify myself as what I've been through, my experiences, my reps, my credentials, then who am I? And that's a question everybody asks themselves at least once, if not many times during their lives. You need a recentering of who you are.
I think, I don't know, for me, as I'm listening and we're talking through this, the building and discovering seem like two sides of the same coin, potentially, which is a phrase I heard you use recently in a podcast, one of our podcasts I was re-listening to.
Two sides of the same coin.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because
She's got a million of them, this one.
she does. Because, I don't know, like, again, I find that I'm building, let's say, labels, or I'm building my body to go discover things, but then you break down the labels or the roles or the hats, right? And then you have to rebuild some things. And then in that rebuilding process, I'm rediscovering yet again.
Mm-hmm.
But a question I have for both of you is, do you think it's possible, as it relates to building or discovering, do you think it's possible that some people just don't do much of either? Like, we were talking about how much we've all changed in any given week, month, year, right? Much less a decade. But then there are patterns or people that seem like they don't maybe do the building or the discovering, but do you think that they're still changing, or do you think some people stay the same? Like, are we all building and discovering, or is this a voluntary action, or is it part of life as well?
Yeah, I think that I know people that are pretty consistent and have been a lot of their lives. And I think it's a conscious decision to say, I want to grow. I want to evolve. I am curious, and I question constantly myself. And this is true. I'm saying this is true about me, is that can I be a better version of Mark Steiner, and what does it take to get there? So I read lots of self-help books. Those are the podcasts I gravitate to. It's in the movies I watch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always wanting to. I want to be different than I was, and I think that happens organically. And I think it happens because of being intentional about it, because there's things that I believed 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I was absolutely definitive on. These were absolutes, never going to change. Oh my gosh. I'm so different now. I'm probably a polar opposite, different. than what I thought I was then and what I believed. What do you have to say?
I think this is a core piece of it's a core piece of the work I get to do with people. But I found that there are some people who do want to be on a growth journey. It's a particular personality that pursues evolution and evolving. And then there are people who resist change, and they build protections in order to preserve what they perceive as a sense of homeostasis. And then life will inevitably rip the rug right out underneath you. Mm-hmm. And you will be forced with a paradigm shift. Either I change the way that I think, or I decide that I'm silently resigning from life. So I do think there are a lot of people who have embraced silent resignation because the idea of letting go, releasing, changing, and evolving is so scary to them.
Yep.
And they do not feel equipped for it, that they have settled for a version of their life they can live with. And if given the chance and given the opportunity, I think perhaps people would. I just don't think that they think that they can. And that is something that I will continue to spread hope about, and maybe healing for people, that you don't have to be me. You don't have to be you. Everybody doesn't have to have these things, but you cannot, like, the motion of life does not allow for stagnation.
Right.
Like, just the nature of being alive. And so I don't think that you can escape it. It'll be subtle for some, major for others. But just wisdom alone, just like experiencing life, if you can't stay unchanged. Your skin doesn't stay unchanged. Mm-hmm. Right? But I do think patterns, yeah, right? That was like the only thing I wish I could freeze, is the way that my skin looks youthful. I saw something, now I'm going to go sidebar, but I saw something the other day that was like, I saw a video of myself with my smile lines, and I just don't remember anything being that hilarious. I was like, oh, there never was a truer statement. But patterns, however, there are patterns that I think definitely keep you in a stuck state. So people are going to change, but the patterns can stay the same, and they go back to the comfort zone, just like what you said. Mm-hmm. When you came back to the States, it was like, how easy was it for you to slip into that pattern? Mm-hmm. And run that play because you knew it. And I've found consistently over and over again, people will choose the pain they know because it tells the brain, I'm safe, because it's better the devil you know than the stranger you don't. So I do think people choose that stagnation out of comfort.
I know you want to say something, Mark. So maybe you go first, but I have a question for the two of you. So do I go, or do you go? You made me I felt.
I just love that you caught that.
Wow.
Right?
Well done.
Well done to this.
Exactly. You're a good student.
For those of you who don't know what just happened.
No one makes you feel any way.
I caught it mid-sentence.
Yeah, you did.
Let's explain.
There's a significant shift in the mindset. Do this exercise for yourself. Say, you make me mad, or this made me so angry. And then shift it and say, I feel angry when I see that. I felt sad when I experienced that. When we take the responsibility for all of our emotions, the good and the bad, sometimes we only want to take credit for the good ones. I feel so happy. We like that one. We don't like, I feel sad. But it's the only way that then we can shift the opportunity for change to exist. If I say you make me mad, then I am then stuck until you make me happy, right? Till you change your behavior. And that's just not how it works. We have the right to choose anytime we want to choose another path for ourselves. And by taking responsibility, reframing the language, then we get a little bit more empowered sense. So when he started to say that, you made me, and then he caught himself, that was just a really proud moment for me.
Yes. Yeah, high five. So I was going to say, when Mark, when you said you, wherever you are, there you are, I was going to say you made me feel uncomfortable based on things that have happened since I got home to the States. And instead, I reframed it like I felt like that comment resonated with me, and I was like, uh-oh, because since I've gotten back, there's been some drama.
Yeah.
And so I was sitting here analyzing to myself, okay, wherever I am, there I am. So what's happening, right? And so I was like, okay, wait a minute. What kind of dramas and challenges did I have when I was on the road? What kind of dramas and challenges have I had since I got back? And so I was like, wait a minute. On some of these things that are happening, am I the problem? Or, you know what I mean? And so I don't know, but I was comparing like some of the stuff that happened while I was gone. I was like, well, sometimes it was rough and sometimes it was really smooth. So this is like something I'm going to be ruminating on. We can get into it now too. And it's we want to tell the audience we're still talking about building versus discovering.
That's right.
And right now I'm having a discovering moment.
Right.
Yes.
So
And maybe that you have built certain ideas or beliefs around other people's behavior as needing to change in order for you to have the success you want, etc.
now we're getting into it. Let's keep going.
And perhaps we are now discovering that you may be deflecting some of that responsibility on them when in fact it could be you that is the catalyst for change in that situation.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mark.
I just want to say that you are witnessing a therapy session, and this is very exciting for me. You are flies on the wall, everybody.
knew you
Just
would love this.
shh.
Well, I think it's
But it's
relevant,
true.
though, 'cause I think we're all dealing with this at some level. If you're going to be really brutally honest with yourself and take accountability and responsibility, which is what I try to do with my life, then your statement charged me, and I was like, oh boy, is this a moment where I have to look in the mirror, like what's mine to own and what's not mine, and what's mine to release, right?
That's right.
So that's what I'm trying to figure out right now.
And we did have for those listening and watching, we did have a conversation the other day, and that was essentially the accumulation of my point, was that like whatever you were doing, whatever you're planned to do today that you now feel is disrupted because of said incident or whatever happens to come into your life, what would happen if you just said, oh, I'm not doing that today, I'm continuing on with what I need to do, right? How much further along in life would you be if you hadn't allowed the emotional hijacking to occur?
And that is so right on, but when you said that, I was like, that's so hard.
Of course it is.
How do you keep, like something hits you, like blindsides you, but you have a whole lot of things you want to accomplish in your life that are part of like the bigger picture? And you said that, and I was like, that's true. How do I do it? Like, I feel like I'm a pretty strong person, but like, how do I still forge ahead?
Okay,
right?
but you don't do it like that.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
You're still waiting on feeling like you can instead of just doing it.
Oh, it's another and moment, isn't it?
Yeah, because it cannot
It can suck, and you can still
do
That
it.
is
You
exactly
can not
right.
feel, and that's what I said. You know, what I teach is the intersection of and moments are another and moment. They are the moment that honors the values you hold and the goals you want to attain.
Yeah.
And so you cannot take an and moment, can't be one where an either or situation applies. And you'll know that you're in fight or flight reaction when you feel like you only have an either I do this or I do that. Right? I have a shirt that says create more and moments, because those are the moments that move you forward. They're the ones that choose the highest version of you and then creates a pathway forward. And you'll only be able to know that for yourself. So in a hypothetical situation, if I have to say I need to make an and moment here because I feel like I can either be a good mom or I can be a business owner, then I would need to make an and decision of what would allow me to reach my goals professionally that I have and uphold the values of being a present parent. Okay? So that and moment would have to honor both of those for it to count. That means I have to adjust a timeline.
Yep.
It means I can't have maybe as fast of a result as I want. I have to go slower than someone else that wasn't making that choice. I have to recalibrate systems and processes in our home. I have to be willing to ask for help. I have to adjust the timeline, not the goal. I don't say to myself, I can't have that just because it's going to take longer to get it. But in your situation, you'd have to make your own and moment. You cannot make an and moment if you don't know who you are, and you don't know what you hold valuable, and you don't know what your goals are.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is like, I don't know, everything we're talking about are both building and discovering.
Right. In the healthiest way, in the healthy versions, right? Not building walls to exclude people, but.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, I have, and Mark, I know you have probably some comments about this. So I want to.
No, go.
You don't. I was just going to say I wanted to get a clear definition or opinion from you, Jessica, on because you kind of spoke to it, Mark. But elaborate again if you have a thought about what do you think happens, building or discovering.
Oh, I thought I said it already.
Tell me again.
You may have been thinking about your own situation and
Maybe.
playing that out while I was talking.
Probably. Sorry.
Ignoring her.
He tunes me out. It's
Not
fine.
intentionally.
I couldn't tell you what she said either. So, go ahead. Tell us again, Jessica.
Clearly,
No, we are.
profound statements here. For me, it is an and. It is both, but particularly from the lens of healthy versus unhealthy. So I think that you can build walls and you can build false versions of you that then will require discovery to break them down. But in the healthy sense, you can build yourself, build on your life experiences and discover insights and then build processes and systems and skills that will help you come a fullness of that. But you have to know who you are without attaching those to external outputs, roles, to put it simply, in order to do that. And I think it is a lifelong journey. I like to say that you can be both becoming and have arrived exactly where you need to be at the same time.
For sure.
I guess I was looking for like a chicken and egg thing. But it sounds like they're both happening again, like maybe simultaneously, depending on the chapter that you're in your life.
Yeah.
It's like, because I'm like, okay, how do I workshop this, right? How do I woodshed it? Do I go out and build and then I discover, or do I discover and then that creates building? But it really seems like it's back and forth.
Well, that's where a mindset of noticing and wondering would come into play.
What an interesting concept.
I mean,
Notice and
coin
wonder.
that.
Yeah, you should
I
write a
do
book
that.
on it, like do some.
So when you are in a moment of
That's
life.
a joke, folks. She has written a bunch about this, by the way, which you should look at.
So when you notice what is going on around you, so like the other day when you're feeling frustrated and you would go into that situation, you say, all right, I notice I'm really feeling hijacked here emotionally. And I'm wondering, why does that feel so frustrating to me, right? And then you start reverse engineering that. So like I noticed when Mark said that, I got this little visceral kind of reaction. And I'm wondering, what is that connected to? And you said, maybe I'm kind of part of the problem in some of these situations, or I have a contributing piece to it, right? So then you would ask yourself, what is it for you, like when you feel threatened in that situation, what was it challenging in you? Why did it hurt so much? Did it feel like you weren't being respected? Did it feel like you weren't being heard, seen, you weren't significant enough in the moment? If you say yes to that, I didn't feel significant, I don't feel honored, I don't feel heard, seen, right? Then you can ask yourself the question, is that true? Am I significant, even though I'm not seen as significant? Yes. Okay, so then what version of me that felt seen, heard, self-significant, what would that version of me do in this moment? And then proceed as necessary. But until you take the time to be self-aware and reverse that back, it does take training, but then as you do the reps with it, it becomes intrinsic second nature to you, where that's the protocol you run to filter feelings that have merit and need more discovery and more than work to build the skill set to close the gap, or they are false things that are just trying to disrupt and dysregulate and take you into a drift away from your purpose.
And this takes reps. I mean, I so appreciate.
lifetime.
I appreciate that we get to do this because, like, I've obviously been working with you for a long time, Mark. You and I work on stuff for a long time too, and it's like rediscovering and re-repping, in real time for the three of us, and hopefully it's stuff that adds value to the audience as well.
Yeah.
Mark, you haven't.
Yep.
I feel like we've been leaving you over there in the cold for a minute. How you
It's
doing
good.
over
I'm
there,
taking
bro?
it in.
How are you?
Learning and growing and being and present and validating and verifying how it all applies to my life, and it's I'm complete. I'm good. I'm very satisfied. I'm glad we have had this conversation. I'm in a good place in my life. So, but in that, I'm in a good place because
You do the work.
because I do the work, and on a daily basis, I'm discovering. It would take more time to explain it, and I always have to give so much backstory. Just learned that one. But in the past 24 hours, I learned there was two incidences where I learned how I think. I analyzed, I examined, and I watched how I think. And it was the first time I experienced that.
Isn't that a cool thing?
It was a mind-blowing thing. And this is all new. This would all... Anyway, so it's just to say, the amount of things that I discover every day in my environment, in my space, the people I interact with, my life. At the end of every day, I reflect and I contemplate, and I think, as I ask my questions, how did you do today, Mark? And what could you have done better? And where can you improve? It's really healthy for me to do that because it keeps me really humble. That's where I like to be, but it also it's so exciting. It's just to learn new things, and some of the things I learn are pretty basic, rudimentary, sort of 101 stuff that most of you probably got a long time ago and comes easier to you. But with this, it's just different. And so for me, I'm like a little kid. I really am like. It's like I watch, Atlas. I'll just say I watch Atlas once a week. I see Atlas as a 3-year-old boy, and everything is wonder.
Yeah.
And and I want to be like that. I want to be more like Atlas.
And I think you do such a great job of, one thing that I see and I admire about you is that you process out loud. And so with your life and lived experiences, you kind of talk people through what you're learning and growing in, which creates a human connection with people where it makes it safe for them to talk about what they're learning and growing into. And that level of self-reflection there's a hunger for it because it is real and authentic. And you do such a great job of doing that, and you attract people that want to be in that presence, in that perimeter.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's
I
beautiful.
received that. This was a good conversation. That's a time check.
No, we're doing so good on time today. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I've always been fascinated by identity, probably because I've had so many opportunities to recalibrate my sense of identity as someone who grew up in another country and then like moved here at 12, right as my identity was really forming, and that had to relearn culture and community, and it's just always been something that I've been very aware of and feel called to talk more about with people and help them to get to that core, what is underneath that, and then to build things that always take you back to, I want to notice how this is impacting me, and I want to wonder what in the sense of self do I feel is being challenged here, right? Or what is it about this? And man, there is some deep-rooted stuff that comes up. And when you said, I'm content.
I'm complete.
Complete, thank you. You said I'm complete. I feel like there's a little nod to the audience that, and maybe you've experienced this too, it's like being complete does not mean you are finished. It doesn't mean you're complacent. And for a long time, or one thing I realized in my evolution journey and discovery was that I could be content, complete, and still want more and still aspire to move forward. That it wasn't complacency to be complete.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's a big difference.
Yes.
Right? And just because someone is driven doesn't mean that they feel incomplete either, or that they're never happy or never satisfied. Right. You can and should live complete with every day of your life in a way that is open to receiving more, not rejecting more because you feel overwhelmed with what you already have. And that is internal work.
Yeah.
You know.
To that point, I would say it's okay to feel complete, and in this moment, here and now, I feel fulfilled. I feel
grateful, thankful,
full,
yes,
grateful, and everything is okay, right here and right now, with you three, with this podcast. And when you get to, and there's times that to just be present in that, just spend time with what is it about this moment that makes me feel good, and try to repeat the good stuff. What are the things that upset me and disrupt me and make me feel whatever, and spend time with that too, and figure out how to navigate your way out of it. Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, this is great. We got the things I didn't know that we would.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts for us, Justin?
I just want to say that I appreciate you brought up something that you were vulnerable at one moment when you were helping to drive the point home about the and moments, which parlays right into the building and discovering thing, which you said trying to balance being a mother and being in business. And you and I have had discussions about how much shaming goes on around that kind of a thing. But I want to applaud you, and the audience needs to know this, that you absolutely rock at both of those. We were saying not to get too caught up into roles, but both of those things that you do. And it's these conversations and points like that that help drive home like a little thing in my head. I'm like, that was a big moment for Jessica, and it helps me reflect later to keep doing the and reps, because I need that reminder so much throughout this building and discovering process. Like, I don't know that I can navigate the building and discovering process as easily without the reminder of trying to figure out where the and moments are.
Right.
So thank you.
The integration.
Yeah.
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 Well, thanks. I appreciate that. I think we do get really distracted with trying to be this over here, this over here, this over here, and it ends up leaving us feeling unfulfilled in each area of our lives. So, and is about the integration and the full acceptance of all that I am, not just part of who I am. And then being able to do the reps of showing up every day to do that over and over again, even if it takes you twice as long as the person who doesn't do that. Theirs will fall apart one day, so.
And not comparing. Yeah.
Well, thanks for listening, everyone. We hope you got some good little takeaways. This has been the Big Ideas podcast about people, perspectives, and the ideas that are shaping who we're becoming. If anything in this sparks some curiosity for you, stay curious, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.